Where do we go from here? How do we overcome, adapt, and thrive in a time of COVID? How do we look beyond the chaos that's occurring today to gain confidence in the future? I'm Andy Bush, and my job right now is to answer these questions for you. In this short video, we're going to answer where do we go from here and explore second of our series on where do we go from here, we move into the world of moving. Transportation. Yes, planes, trains, and automobiles. All of these put us on a global transport network that shrinks our world every day. And sadly, the virus is a good example of this. The pandemic spread on a local to local transportation pattern. People got infected in their cities, hopped on planes and trains and buses, and spread the infection when they arrived. To bend the infection curve down, the US government shut down the economy and travel bans were enacted across the world to bend the infection curve further. But this also bent the travel curve straight down. All travelers were getting fearful of getting the virus. Business meetings were canceled. Tourists and vacationers stopped going places. Workers stopped going into the office. All of this drastically reduced business travel for airlines, collapsed commuter demand for trains and buses, and even dropped miles driven by cars. It means Uber and Lyft drivers don't have anyone to drive to the airports. It means Amtrak and Acela and Burlington Northern all lose money as they see their riders disappear. Workers who repair planes, maintain trains, and build autos are at risk of losing their jobs. States and local governments lost revenue to support the subways and transit construction projects they had planned. It meant things got ugly fast for transportation. Now, there is good news and hope for a rapidly changing transportation system. Now, during the shutdown, online spending and shopping rose, which was good news for all the trucking firms making deliveries to consumers' houses. After the economy reopened, we began to see business travel slowly begin to come back. And TSA passenger checkpoint numbers have risen over 600% since the low in April as consumers and business travel have increased. Eventually, businesses began to figure out how to slowly bring back their employees with new safety protocols and social distancing. Public schools and universities began to bring back students with a similar type of safety guidelines. But this is a slow process with a lot of starts and stops generated by spikes in viruses and states shutting down again. And of course, people not following guidelines like having parties or not wearing a mask. Look, we're still significantly below where we were prior to the outbreak. And yes, there are lots of problems given the rise in the infections, but the healing process is occurring. And the best news? Well, the best news is the economy has snapped back as growth has returned. All of these things are occurring without a vaccine. Well, the key is not to over-extrapolate what's happening now far into the future. Remember, 15 years ago, the futurists all said the internet would seriously disrupt corporate travel. How'd that work out? Look, you can't escape the fact that we're social beings. I mean, humans want to have face-to-face meetings. And in a service economy, the role of personal relationships is critical. All of this breaks down into a balance that needs to be struck. A balance between how bad things are now to what they will evolve to in the future. So here are some of the opportunities I see. On airlines, they will thrive by adapting and consolidating. And sadly, this is all about survival first before anyone can thrive. Another opportunity for airlines is to provide better customer experience. Mine the data of canceled flights to see where customers were going and when to send them new package deals with hotels and rental cars is a possible solution. Also, going touchless at the airport with facial recognition to check in and maybe RFID tracking to improve baggage handling. Another opportunity for transportation, providing rapid result testing for the virus. Passengers would be tested before they got on a cruise ship or a plane or a train. Now, already some airlines are testing the procedure, and hopefully by doing these tests, they can restore passengers' confidence of taking a trip without catching the virus. airlines and other travel companies may need to take their lead from a small little startup servicing senior citizens. So RoboTaxi Voyager provides ride services for senior citizens within a senior living complex. And the company is outfitting their minivans with UV lighting that kills all viruses. And UV light is harmful to humans, but Voyager is bathing their minivans in this light after the riders get out. And they do it after every ride to ensure a COVID-clean environment for the next person. Could all cars, buses, trains, airplanes do this? Trucks as well. You know, it's a solution to a consumer problem that means it's a business opportunity. One of the biggest changes for transportation will likely occur after the election. And it doesn't matter if Trump or Biden wins because both will try to do a massive infrastructure bill. Now, this spending will improve our highways, bridges, and ports. There's also going to be spending on electronic refueling station across the major highways. Now, this will help drive demand up for electronic cars and trucks and buses. Also, for technology on trucks and cars, there are platooning systems that are being developed that allow the vehicles to communicate with each other as they travel in packs. This also allows for simultaneously accelerating and braking of the convoy to be energy efficient and safer. It could be seen as an early bridge to driverless technology. And then there will also be the autonomous trucks and cars that are coming. Let's say we all want to go back to our workplaces and need to commute. Can we create a fleet of autos to drive us to our office without having to be exposed to other commuters? Can our trucking industry drive more efficiently and reduce virus exposure via driverless trucks and touchless loading and unloading by robots? I mean, COVID has forced all transportation industries to become more efficient, and more dollars are flowing to these technologies as a solution. By the way, maybe even we won't go back to the old ways of being in crowded cities and public transportation. Maybe post-crisis, very few want to go back to the highway commute grind if they don't have to. And one more thing to think about on transportation and delivery. You know, we all laughed when Amazon was telling us that they would use drones to deliver goods. In 2016, Amazon created a video with this mock-up button that says delivery in 30 minutes. Now, drone technology has massively improved since then, and this is the beginning of something really important. Step back for a moment and think of all the waterfall effects from using drones on transportation and roads. Less trucks, less drivers, less human contact, less risk of COVID and other diseases. I mean, even now, some new home construction is outfitting the top of the house for drone deliveries. Everything will not be perfect in transportation in the future. And there's tremendous upheaval right now and change going on. But there are big possibilities for good things to happen from COVID and big opportunities for growth. As I always say, we're a nation of adapters, overcomers, and thrivers, and that's the good news. Next week, we'll answer the question, where do we go from here, for leisure and hospitality. Remember, if you want to get them every week, click on the subscribe button. If you like this show, click on the next video to get more, and I'll see you in it. I'm Andy Bush, and I'll see you then.